What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Go on and like the video, subscribe if you're new here and all that good stuff. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to set something up, but excited to do this live stream today because this kind of aligns with how I started in the IT field. So just give me 1 second. Uh oh, let me know in the chat if you can hear me, all that good stuff. Let's see. Hopefully we're not running into any issues. Email. Yeah, how y'all Sunday going? You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the chat. Let's see. All right, so just give me 1 second, guys. 1 second, 1 second. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I see a couple people here. How y'all doing, man? What's up, Edmund Quarter? Shout out to you, man. Yeah, he's been one of the people that's been, hitting me up about the mentorship and everything. Shout out to you, bro. I still got to send you that information. I'm gonna try to send it today. Justin Williams, good to see you. He said I can hear you. Noko Doko, what's up, man? Audio is good. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Ben's Tech Room, what's up, man? Good to see you. Lynn D, what's going on? What's going on? Says, okay, the Ravens versus Colts just went off. All right, so I'm right in there at the right time, huh? You can come through. I know my Saints went in, so I said, well, it looked like, I ain't got to worry about that game, so let me go and start the live stream, you know what I'm saying? So, yep. And Gillimore, what's up? Morrison, what's up, man? How you doing? Appreciate you coming through. So, what I wanted to do on this, I'm gonna start doing this on every live stream. I'm gonna start shouting out people that are doing the same thing I'm doing. They have a channel, and they put out a lot of great content, and this aligns to the systems administrator position that I wanted to talk about today. And so the one that I want to share, and you guys have heard me talk about them all the time on my channel, but shout out to my man. Wait for it to come up. KeepItTechie. So I wanted to throw him out there, show him love, real cool guy, man. He's really helping people. And he does a lot of videos to get people into help desk roles, as well as, cybersecurity. He's in cybersecurity now, but he started off in a help desk role. And he does a lot of great videos, great content over there on getting yourself, into the IT field, following different career paths. And one of those career paths that he focuses on is, help desk. And he covers pretty much everything I'm gonna kind of talk about today on what you need to do in order to become a systems administrator. So shout out to him. Yeah. And Lindy says, yeah, Kev's been on here. Yeah, Kev's been around for a while, man. Shout out to his channel and everything. And I want you guys to show him love if you never heard of him. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of him because I talk about him all the time on my channel. Shout out to him. All right. So let's get into the nitty gritty. And like I said, I wanted to talk about how to become a systems administrator. And first off, let me start off by giving a little bit about my background, the way, and I've talked about it in the past on multiple videos, multiple live streams or whatever, how I actually got into it. But I kind of wanted to tell you that I was going down the systems administration road. I started out basically by going to school. So I decided to go to, Remington College, and I hopped into their what was it? Computer networking program. But you can consider it a systems admin program because essentially they covered a gamut of everything. We went into programming, we learned how to program. We also learned how to manage servers, like set up servers and all that good stuff. And like systems administration work, essentially. And this is a while ago, and you could tell by the operating system I'm finna tell you. We started out in school, it was Windows 2K3, Windows Server, so 2003. So that lets you know how long ago that was, you know what I'm saying? And so we started off, they taught us how to set up domain controllers. What is a domain? They even cover, IP information. So understanding subnetting, setting up the network at an organization, as well as setting up all the servers to manage everything. So Active Directory, DNS servers, DHCP servers, pretty much all the services you would need to set up a network for an organization. Now, most likely you wasn't going to run into an organization that needed all of that set up from the ground up. You're going to run into people that already have, their network up and running, and you were just mainly managing it. You know what I'm saying? And adding to that domain that they already have set up. And so, yeah, that's some of the stuff I learned within that associate's degree, you know what I'm saying? And then after getting that associate's degree, and I know this is totally different from nowadays because things have changed, over time. Technology is constantly evolving. So things change, new server versions come out, new software come out, SharePoint, all these new services that Microsoft brings. And then now we're at the point of the cloud. So I know it doesn't 100% apply to now what I went through, but I still want to at least, let you guys know that's kind of how I got into it. And that information, though, that base information is something you still need to know in order to get into the field currently. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, so I got my first job. What was this, like 2007? And I started as they called it a systems administrator, but it was almost like help desk at the end of the day. The network was already set up. They had Windows servers there already set up. I was just there to manage them, improve them, build upon them and all that good stuff. And so the schooling that I got really prepared me for these jobs. I was able to roll in. I understood how it worked. Therefore, I could build upon what's already there. And it didn't have, that's the thing. You'll run into organizations where they don't have documentation and you got to go through and take about a week to figure out everything they have set up, and not even longer than that. And you still won't learn everything, you know what I'm saying, right off on how everything is set up until something breaks. And then you got to go in and figure it out. But anyway, first job, systems administrator, going around, managing the servers. And so that's why I kind of wanted to cover this, because my background, that's how I started, in the systems administration world. And it's almost like help desk. So let's hop over to the article, and I'm gonna invite a couple people up if y'all want to come up and talk about it, or if you have experience working as a systems administrator. I know Professor Black Ops has, you know what I'm saying? And oh, shout out to Gabe. What's up, man? Good to see you, bro. I appreciate you coming through. Let me see. Gillimore, he says, hardest issue I have been noticing while going to school for CIS. So that's a cyber, or what is that? Computer information systems, is that there are so many points of intersection when it comes to IT. Yes, it is. That's why this was something I used to say all the time. IT is like an umbrella. You know how you got all those different points on an umbrella? It's so many different areas of IT, you know what I'm saying, that you can go down. And that's why another point I always make, you never know where you're going to end up. you can get into the field saying, hey, I want to do this, and you can end up in a totally different area, kind of like what I did. And also shout out to Professor Black Ops. I see you in the building as well. Salute. Yeah, if you want to come up, bro, you're free to come up. I'll shoot you the link as well. But let me get back to the article. So by me bringing up my background, I just wanted to let you know that that's the route that I took. And so I can kind of speak to this a little more than other positions like cybersecurity. That's why I push people to other channels that cover those topics. Like my man Gabe Bay, he got struggle security. Professor Black Ops, he's got his channel where he talks about cybersecurity to help people get into it and all that stuff. So what I'm gonna do is follow an article that I found that I thought was interesting. And I've used Coursera on the last video where I was talking about the database, administration positions, like getting into that type of work. And Coursera did an awesome, article on systems administration. I read through it. I wanted to cover it, and they cover everything that I wanted to cover. So it's almost like it's easier to just cover an article. That way something is on the screen to keep you guys engaged. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole purpose of me doing this. And let me go down and share this article right fast. That way, if anybody want to follow along, you can as well. So what does a system administrator do? And this is a career guide, and they updated this June 15th, 2023. Not sure when they wrote this, but they updated around that time. So sometime this year, a little earlier this year. But let me just explain what a system administrator is. It's also known as a sysadmin, or information technology professionals who make sure a organization's computer systems are functioning and meet the needs of an organization. And so system admin support, troubleshoot, and maintain computer servers and networking. And so my second job, that brings up my second job. So I got hired on as a full-blown systems administrator. I was coming into a school, and this was a school that was being built almost from the ground up. They already had some stuff set up, but it was going to require a new network. So I got the opportunity to build a whole new network at this organization, and I built it side by side the old network. And so I had to set up Exchange servers, for mail. I had to set up, pretty much everything, the domain controllers, all the admin accounts, group policies, web servers that they needed to push out the website. What is it called? What do they call those servers? IIS. So what's that? Information, whatever it is, it's their IIS server for Microsoft Windows. That's the web server. You know how Apache, I talk about Apache on Linux, Apache server, the HTTPS server, that is Microsoft's version, the IIS. That's their web server that you set up. But anyway, I was afforded the opportunity to set up the whole network from the ground up. So I think I got a lot of experience from that, because hands-on experience is like very important in this field. If you've never done something, it's kind of hard to speak to it. Yeah, you can speak the book knowledge, but if you've never done it, you don't understand all the intricacies behind setting up something like this until you actually do it. So that's why it goes to the whole home lab stuff. You know what I'm saying? By setting up these types of networks on your own in a home lab, that'll give you the knowledge that you need in order to speak to that. And yeah, that goes back to KeepItTechie. He walks through how to set up those labs. So definitely, check out his channel and everything. All right. So what is system administration and tasks and responsibilities? So a systems administrator job description might include managing Windows, Linux, and Mac systems. And that's mainly most organizations you'll run into is a Windows environment, and you'll see other operating systems on the network. They'll all be managed under a domain controller. So you can add Linux to a domain controller, you can add Mac to a domain controller, and they'll manage it. And thank you, Femi, for explaining IIS. I see you in the chat. Shout out to you. Says Internet Information Services. Yeah, yeah, IIS. And I remember, I haven't done it in a long time. I know how to do it. It's just adding a service to your server, and then you can manage your website from there. Like put all your files in there. I think they use ASP as the programming language. They were trying to push that as the dominant language on everything, but you can put anything on there. So PHP, HTML, obviously, and all that good stuff to share out web services, so websites and all that good stuff. But anyway, managing Windows, yeah, and like I said, most of the time, most organizations you'll run into, you'll see a Windows environment, you'll see a domain controller, which manages all the accounts that are connected on the network. And then you may run into Linux systems, and then a lot of times you'll see Mac systems. You'll see, like in the design department, the people that manage all the, I don't know, it could be marketing, the marketing department of an organization. A lot of times you'll see like 1 or 2 Macs over there for people that do things like that, design, marketing, putting out information online, because a lot of people use Macs for that purpose. You know what I'm saying? Even though we're starting to see it a lot in like cybersecurity, people using Macs, Linux and all that stuff. You're seeing it a lot more on organizations. But typically the servers that manage everything are Windows. And then Linux, you'll see Linux as well in the organization when it comes to storage. A lot of times storage is, managed by a Linux system. So you'll see that as well. Now, right here, upgrading, installing, and configuring application software and computer hardware. Now, this is one of the most, I would say, not difficult, but this is one of the most things you got to stay on top of. Upgrades, patches, what they call it, Patch Tuesday. You got to patch these servers. You got to get them, set up, or you got to make sure like a patch doesn't break the system. That's why a lot of times organizations will have like 3 separate networks. They'll have a production environment, they'll have a testing environment, and then they'll have what they call development environment. And those environments are supposed to be one-to-one comparison across the board. They're all supposed to be like on the same patch level, which that doesn't always happen, but it's supposed to be a mirror of all of them. That way you're developing in the most up-to-date environment as what's in production. That way you're testing in the most up-to-date environment that's tied to your production, and then where the updates and applications and all that stuff that you're building is complete, then it can go into production at the most up-to-date and environment for whatever you're putting out there, to the organization. So that's one thing I've always seen. Well, not everywhere. I've seen like just a testing and a production, or a development. Some people just use that as the testing and development environment. So they have 2 separate networks. So a development and testing, they'll develop and test in that same environment, and then move things over to production once they verify it works over there. You know what I'm saying? In dev and test. So troubleshooting and providing technical support. Now, this goes back to help desk. That's why in order to become a systems administrator, you need to go down that help desk role. And this is just my opinion. I know not everybody will agree with me, but I think you should go down that help desk role, because you need to understand the ticketing systems. You need to understand everything that happens at that help desk level before those actual tickets come to you as a systems administrator. That way you can understand how to fix whatever problem it is, because it could be, login issues, like somebody can't log into their system. And if you've done that in help desk, and let's say it's something a little bit more complex than help desk, then is pushed up to you as a system administrator. And so by you understanding what steps they took, it'll help you figure out what the problem is at the systems administration level. So let's see, creating and managing system permissions and user accounts. Active Directory. That's why I brought up Active Directory. Most important thing, you know, to learn. And group policy. That's the managing systems permissions. Group policy, and just to explain it, the GPOs is essentially how you manage permissions on all the systems within the network. You can control all the computer systems that are on a domain from a domain controller. It's not just for users, it's for computers. That's why they call it, when you log into it and go to it, it's Active Directory, users, and computers. You can control pretty much everything from group policy. So and that's like to the point where all the systems have a particular background, and I'm just using that as an example. You can control what users can do within the system settings, you know, as far as changing things on the actual computer that they're working on. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them going in making modifications to the system, and because you could they could open up a vulnerability at some point, like, or download something specifically, or oh, I heard about this new, I don't know, I'm gonna just use a browser. I heard about this new browser, and this browser doesn't have specific protections you need for those systems. It's wide open and they can get around certain things. It may have a proxy or something in it, I don't know, built into it. I'm just trying to make something up just to prove a point. But it could open up that system for it to get hacked, you know, essentially. And so you want to control that. You want to control what type of software goes onto those systems. You don't want people just downloading applications. Oh, I heard about this, let me download and install it. And then you open up the organization's network. So you can manage all that from the domain controller. That's my whole point. You know what I'm saying? And oh, shout out to my man Ronan Unsung. He says, just landed a systems administrator role pending this security clearance. Oh man, that's good, bro. Shout out to you, bro. Salute. It's always good to see people, you know, that's succeeding. You know what I'm saying? Good to see you, bro. Good to see that, bro, for real. Let me see. Did somebody else ask a question? I don't want to miss anybody. FEMA, he says, did you use Ansible or one of those similar tools? Do you mean like in one of those positions that I've worked for? No, because Ansible wasn't around. Ansible came about, I would say, a couple of years ago, and I've been working as a database administrator for about 10 years. So I haven't used Ansible. You know, I haven't been in a systems administrator role in a long time. I think 2010 was the last time, or 11. No, 12. I'm sorry. 2012 was the last time I did systems administration work while I was managing an organization. So Ansible wasn't around then at all. JM says, bro, these companies have unrealistic requirements these days, bro. They expect you to know servers, coding, Linux, AI, all for a help desk or a systems administrator role. It's ridiculous these days. Yeah, you're right. They do have super high expectations, especially when we talk about the pay, because I was going to get into that and just show you guys some of the statistics that I found for systems administration. This says network and computer systems, because they used to, and that's the thing, systems administrators, that used to include a whole lot more than just managing the systems. You almost had to be a jack of all trades. You had to set up the Wi-Fi network. You had to manage the Cisco switches. You need to know how to do that, even if you're not certified in it. You still need to know that for the network for the network sake, because a lot of times you run into you get a position, and if the network goes down, they automatically looking at the systems administrator or the people that set up the net, because they can't access whatever they're trying to access. And even though it's a network problem, you know, they want you to fix it. They're gonna push it to you. At least that's what I've seen in the past. Now maybe things have changed. They segmented out a lot of this stuff, but that's what I've seen in the past. They'll want the systems administrator to do everything to keep everything available. You know what I'm saying? Networking, it wasn't separated. It was all under one hat. That's why I said it was like a system administrator. You're kind of like a jack of all trades. You need to know a lot of stuff for the amount of money that they pay you. But these positions can set you up for a future, you know, position. And like I said, I think they're segmenting a lot of this stuff up nowadays. And there may be something I could ask Professor Black Ops when he comes up, if he's available or not. And actually totally forgot, bro. Let me just send you an email right fast while I'm thinking about it. Let's see. What am I in? KeepItTechie. Yeah. So let me send you an email right fast. That way you can come up if you want to come up, and we could roll into it, talk about it as well. But no, I appreciate the question though, JM, or the statement. Because you're 100% right, man. It's like they want you to know a whole lot when it comes to those systems administration jobs. All right, let me go back here. Performing regular security tests. So yeah, you need to understand how to manage security on these systems, you know, that rolls into the patching. Or I talked about it already, but that goes back to the patching. You want to make sure, you know, all these systems are patched properly. And so you'll see patches come out every week. You know what I'm saying? You got to push them out to your systems, test them first, push them out to the systems. That's one of those like very important tasks that happens at the systems administration level. Maintaining network and network file system. Yeah. And see, they talk about it right here as well, you know, maintaining the network. And hold on, let me add you, Professor Black Ops. Got you, bro. So yeah. And then, like I said, maintaining networks and network file systems. That's something you're running. Like I said, they don't want you to hold that title as well. Somewhat. Some organizations will separate it, but not all of them will. They'll, oh, we hired you as a system administrator. You need to keep these services up. It doesn't matter if the network is not configured properly or something went down with the network. We need you to fix that as well in order to get the services back up. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And what's up, Professor Black Ops, man? Glad you're here.
Thanks, man. How you doing?
I'm
Can you hear
good.
me?
I'm good. Hanging in there, man. Yeah, I
That's
can.
cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add so far?
Not like you said, system admin, because everybody know I start off as programming. So as a junior programmer, once you start putting stuff on the box and dropping your code on the box, you got to deal with the system admin, right? They got to give you permissions.
Yeah.
For us, they gave us the PKI keys because they control that. And two is the system admin. They got to work with, depending on how big of the organization, with the SAN. Sometimes they do the SAN and cut up the disk, or sometimes, like you like me, I work the DoD. They had a whole nother SAN operations that gives the system admin the disk space to load all the stuff up, right? And two is, as a junior programmer, you really help desk, because the help desk tick is for any of the programmers go to the junior programmers. So you just really one step away from the help desk, and you got to call a customer, because like you said, is the network down, is the box down, or is my program down, right? So you got to figure all that out. So
Yeah, you're right. And let me point this out to the audience as well. This right here covers exactly what I was saying. I didn't even I skipped this paragraph when I was looking through everything, because I was just reading everything else. You know what I'm saying? I skipped this, but they cover this right here. And it's the crazy part about it. As a system admin, a lot of times they use that term interchangeably. You could be a network administrator or a systems administrator, and they use it interchangeably. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why, but they don't set. Some organizations don't really separate it all the time. You know what I'm saying? As like a separate piece of managing an organization's network. You got your systems admin, which typically just revolves around these systems, just maintaining these systems. But they'll lump that network administration work under what you're doing as a systems administrator. Some organizations won't hire these Cisco certified systems administrator to come in and manage their Cisco switches and routers and all this stuff. They'll just put it on the system admin to manage it.
You think it's the size? I think it has to do with the
Yeah,
size.
the size too. Yeah,
Because
you're right.
when I work with a medium company, like you said, they lump all that stuff together. But the bigger the company, you know, you start having segregation of duties. Me and Gabe talked about that. And two is the bigger the company, you know that, Josh, when you start dealing with Cisco, they usually got a network team. Now, if you're dealing with Juniper or some off the shelf, they'll lump all that stuff under system admin, and you just got to kind of figure it out. And just real quick, that's the good and bad thing. I tell people a lot of times is when you go with a small company, you get to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
learn a lot. But a big company, though, you get the policies and procedures, and a lot of times people like to see that on your resume. But the smaller companies, like you said, I was doing everything from programming. What you just said, I set up the Apache servers for the Java. I put up the OS. You just do kind of everything, and you'd be like, I think I know how to do this. Go ahead, though, Josh.
Nah, you're right. You're right. And like I think one of the reasons as well they interchange those positions, because back in the day, or at least when I was coming up, you know, it was a Windows environment and Windows server. You can set up DHCP server. You can set up the DNS server. That's networking.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? And even in Linux, you can set up a DHCP server right on a Linux system. You don't have to use Cisco equipment. You can manage all the computers on your network, give out IP addresses, assign IP addresses, leases, and all that stuff, you know, from a Linux server by installing the proper software and configuring it.
Yeah, when I started labbing, because I started off in Linux because Oracle wanted to run on Linux. So like, when I first set up my home lab, like you said, I just did, which I really like. I just did static IPs, plugged all that, put your host system on your file and tell it where it want to go, and you up and running, really. So
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of DHCP. I know that's Windows default. The reason why is I want to give you IP, so when I get hacked, I want to know who's doing it. But but you know, different worlds, different thing. But as you know, Windows got so much better from a high scaling perspective. Now I think most of the companies, unless you're super big, because it's easier to set up those Windows networks too. So I think a lot of companies are going more to that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and yeah, that was one of the things, and it kind of validates what you were saying. If you're in a smaller organization, these responsibilities might be folded into one role, while larger organizations may tend to how you say that word? De-infiltrate. I'm messing up that word, man.
Where you at?
I can't say it.
I can't even see it. Let me
de-infiltrate. Oh
Just
man,
skip it.
I'm sounding crazy as hell.
No, you're right.
Sounding crazy as hell, man. Right now, I can't say it. I just can't say it right now.
No, just skip it. Keep it going. Just change it. We're gonna separate it. That's what it is. We're gonna separate them. Make them unique. Keep going, man. Don't let the word stop you.
Yeah, hey, that word was beating my butt.
Hold on,
I
real
can
quick.
say it. If I wasn't live, I could say it. But
yeah, hold on. Let me chime in this. People don't understand when you do a YouTube video, sometimes you fall, you thinking, you try to stand up, and you try to handle the chat. So don't be picking on Josh, man. He's doing a lot up here. Y'all don't know it. Keep going, man. Keep going.
It's all good, man. So since systems and networks are often intertwined, it's not rare to see job descriptions that require knowledge of both. So, hey, and that's one thing I wanted to ask you, Professor Blackup. So, what are your thoughts on this question? Someone asked up here. They were saying, they want you to know a whole lot more than just, you know, the systems themselves. Like they want you to know, I think he said AI, Linux coding. Yeah, JM. Yeah.
Yeah, but too is he's right and wrong is, and I think especially when you just talking about jobs and remote work, and that's the bad thing about IT. Company's gonna tell you what their wish list is. So then when they put that out, whoever has the most qualifications is going to win, right? And the problem is there's so many people out there with a lot of qualifications, especially if it's a remote job, they picking the top guys because they can get that, right? So I think it goes both ways. But two is, especially in cybersecurity, they said we're a million people short. So I'm like, why are you not picking up more people, right? So I think employers are actually cherry picking applications. Because if you go on Indeed and you look for a remote job, it tells you 200 people apply for that job.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's right, because they can cherry pick the top people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep. Now, as far as systems administrator salary and job prospects, this was something I wanted to look at or whatever. I know this stuff may not be as accurate. I don't know like how many people they surveyed, and I remember we had this discussion like 2 weeks ago, Professor Black Us, where it could be, you know, a lot of older people that are, you know, participating in these surveys, so it's not gathering, it's not really 100% accurate, but they're basically saying for 2022, which was last year, the median income was 90,000 per year, or 43.52 per hour, and they're looking for entry level. Well, for a typical entry level education, bachelor's degree, and that's at that systems administrator level. So that's typically. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish. I'm gonna let you finish. Keep going. Keep going.
Work experience, it says none. On the job training, none. Let me see, number of jobs as of 2023, and this is, like I said, this from the labor statistics, so not 100% accurate, but 300,000 positions. And then I think not all of them are covered, because a lot of the things that a systems administrator do is being rolled up under other roles as well.
Facts.
And so yeah, that's but let's see, network, computer systems, install, configure. Yeah, and that just covers kind of what we already covered, but I just kind of wanted to look at the pay and then also the job outlooks. This is something that I wanted to see. In 2023 it said 339,900, and then projected 2032 348,200, and it's a 2% growth. And so just take these numbers, you know, for what they are, and where it's coming from.
Yeah, I think the part you hit on, and we probably need to delve down in there. System admin, especially when you're rolling up in the cloud right now, those guys got cloud engineers, because when you spin up a VM in the cloud, there's an operating system on there, so somebody's got to manage it, right? The cool thing is Azure and Amazon, you can get gold images and buy them, but you still got to set up the groups. You still got to set up the security. Like you said, are you doing PAM, or are you, the DHCP? You might not set that up, but you got to set up the operate. Are you doing static, reserved IPs? All of that's under. Two is, once again, are you carving up the disk, or are you working with the network? But when you're doing it in the cloud, it's a little different, because Amazon Azure set some of that stuff up for you. So for me, I think the system admin is kind of morphing into cloud engineer, part DevOps, part SecOps. I think you're gonna need those skills that's gonna roll up into those other jobs, because I think when you spin up in the cloud, a lot of stuff the sysadmin used to do, it's pre-set up in your image.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you, man. And that was one thing I was gonna kind of point out as well.
My bad. Did I jump?
Nah, you good. Nah, you good. You hit it. Nah, you hit it right, bro. Like, and that's, I was gonna talk about, like, the job growth doesn't look too well, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of these skills do tie to cloud positions, cloud engineering positions. So that's probably why the growth is not as much as far as a traditional systems administrator, because it's rolling under other roles, newer type of roles that they're coming out with. So I agree with you, you know.
Yeah, right before we got on, I was doing some green blue stuff inside AWS, and my my Apache wasn't styling, so I got to get on that box. I got to look at the processes. I got to go in the directory. I got to figure out what happened. There's an error. All of that was a system admin skills. Really, they're not programming skills anymore. Right. So all of that kind of looks up. So I think somebody said in the chat that skill set is rolling up into other things.
Yeah.
Right. Because you were talking about that traditional DBA is a little different when you using a SQL Server in Azure or using SQL Server in AWS. They do a lot of that DBA work, because they just give you a schema and you work in it, right? So you don't have to do that initial setup. So I think I don't know if you're gonna hit on that. What is the future of that, and where does those skill set, like we talked about, rolls up into other skill sets and jobs in the future?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's gonna roll under that cloud, those cloud, because I don't think this is updated enough to where it includes cloud
Right.
uh positions, at least from what I've seen. And I can go back here. And this is the top level because I was going through here just looking.
Mhm.
I don't think they have the cloud positions in this at all. From what I've seen, computer network architecture, computer, and it seems like a lot of this data is uh revolving around the way things used to be and
Facts.
not the way they're changing the positions themselves. So
Be a lot of positions now. They're getting, rolled up into other stuff. And like I
mhm.
said, cloud engineer, I think sysadmin now is going to fall into cloud engineer. Because where I work at, it seems that's what the cloud engineers end up usually doing that as part of their job.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of I remember this was what 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. Um a database administrator, they were pulling a lot of database administrators and reclassifying them as data scientists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
so it was a total change on the title and the not, and it was all based on the new technology that was coming
Yeah.
out, and is to why. But those people already had the skills as a
Mhm.
database administrator, and all of those skills tie in under that those data scientist role. So it's kind of the same thing.
No, it was
I
weird
see.
because when I first started doing DBA work, it was separated. You had system DBAs, they just install Oracle or SQL Server. Then you had
Hmm.
application DBAs that work with the programmers, because then you have to do the SQL, the PL SQL, the TL SQL, and you have to optimize it, which I thought programmers should have been that. So there used to be two set of DBAs back then.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think we talked about it on the last one. It's almost like three different roles in
Hmm.
data. It's like the data analyst, you
Yeah.
got your developer, that's
Hmm.
kind of what it ties to, and then the admin, which managed the server that it was on and maintain the software that ran the database management system. So
Yeah, then they got
yeah.
a shout out to B2B, because I think he the engineer and he'd make sure the data get from the raw form and gets populated so the programmer can use it in its raw state, where he takes it, cleans it up, creates the pipeline, and puts it in a database for the analyst to work on. Right. So there's a
Mhm.
couple jobs in there.
Yeah, yeah. So let me cover this part right here. It says how to become a systems administrator, and I was going to kind of cover some of the search, and these all apply to the cloud as well, in my opinion. But I always say you need to start, and this is all, it's all depending on where you are skill wise. You know what I'm saying? Don't take this as the end all be all. It all depends on your skill, your current skills. But you guys know, I always push people to CompTIA certifications if you don't understand the information, or if you don't have a way of validating that information for an organization so they can see that you know it. You know what I'm saying? So A+, and then Network Plus if you want to. Um, and yeah, you can kind of follow these, Net Plus, Security Plus. You can skip networking if you, because it covers a lot of it. Well, it all depends on what you're doing. Network Plus will give you the basics of networking. So if you want to go that route, you can. Security Plus, and then what one cert I never really talk about is the Server Plus, and this will get people to understanding how to manage those servers. You get a base understanding of those servers, and I just wanted to push people that way if they want to, look into that Server Plus certification. What are your thoughts on it? Have you looked at that Server Plus, or have you taken that one?
I have not. I've been actually working on my CISP, which is going horribly.
Oh
I
yeah.
got I got my AWS last year. I got 4 AWS certs, so I was switching
Hmm.
over. Because as a senior guy, a lot of those positions, especially when you're going for remote, they're cutting it at CISP because so many people are applying. I put in there, 200 people apply, and they were using CISSP as the
Hmm.
benchmark. I just snuck in because I had a lot of experience. So
Okay.
that's kind of one I've just been focusing on, because that's kind of the gold standard in cybersecurity. The sad part about it is it's a management test, so
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to get what they needed. But for me, and I'm kind of different, is I take certs to just show my progress of when I pick something to learn. Every
Mm-hmm.
year I pick something I want to get better at. Last year was AWS. I said I need to go and get this CISP. Like I tell everybody, I'm working on my cloud skills, cloud security. I'm trying to get my AWS skills up because I just need 10 more years, man. I'm 55, so I'm gonna ride that on into retirement. So those are skills
Okay.
I'm trying to get. Go ahead, though, man. Let you jump in.
No, you good. You good. Hold
Well,
on. Someone said that this is a retired cert. I hadn't heard that yet.
which one? The only one, the cat?
Server. Somebody
Oh,
said server.
it might be.
So
I thought they
yeah,
just came
JM
out with
says
that. Go
nah,
ahead.
server plus has been around for a while.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because I was actually studying to take that one at one point. Um, because I was just planning on just staying in that system, those system roles, or managing servers, infrastructure roles, so to speak. Um, I didn't know it was retired. I don't see where it's retired. Um, but if you know something, yeah, okay. I see someone else said FEMA. FEMA says Server Plus is not retired. Yeah, they would have taken it off if it's a retired cert.
Yeah, I was looking at because the cap went to the CGRC. So I know a few things
Hmm.
kind of just they're not retiring, they just switching it to different.
Yeah, one thing
Maybe.
they do, yeah, it's like every couple years they retire the tests.
Yeah, and they upgrade it.
Yeah, and they because I that's how I was able to take Linux Plus, because Linux Plus, um, a lot of time if you ported the CompTIA network, you already got certs and all that stuff. They'll send emails out offering you to take the beta version of their newest test they're about to release, and so I got it for a discount
Mhm.
price. So like once you take like A plus or Net Plus or whatever, that you'll start seeing those beta tests coming out, but it's all timing. It's all based on when they're renewing the test, or they're introducing new questions and new things to the test for the new release. And they just want to test it out and see how they grade the test as well. And so they'll put it out there as a beta, let people take it at a discount rate.
No, cool. Yeah, IC
Mhm.
Square, they put those beta questions in the in the real test. Uh,
They don't
so
let you know, huh?
no, yeah, it's 125. You're gonna get 50 and 25. Oh, those are the beta questions just to see
Okay.
how
Yeah.
people. So they tell you that in the test. So I
Okay.
think it's crazy, man. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, I just want to point out the Cloud Plus cert, because we're talking about systems administrator, and then Professor Black Ops, brought up that the cloud is where some of these positions are going as well. So those cloud certs will help you out as well. So, and this is not I'm not saying you have to take this to get into systems administration work. Is recommended, but follow the path that'll work for you. I don't want people spending money on certs that
right.
don't apply to what they're trying to actually do. But you do need to understand the help desk level support of systems, or the basic understanding of systems, if you don't know that. So I definitely recommend taking A plus.
No facts.
Yeah. And let me see. So the skills needed. So it does cover a couple other things. And I see Gabe. What do you say? What do you say? Man, I'm studying for certs now. I'm gonna have to go soon. Yeah, hey, I feel you. That's what you got to do sometimes, bro. Like,
Yeah, maybe that's what I
um,
need to do. I'm struggling.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in-depth knowledge of the operating system, which I talked about earlier, so Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and that's when you get into taking those certifications for like Windows, like their MC, whatever it is now, the Azure certs, which I'm trying to take some of those now, the 900 cert. I'm studying for that one. I got to take that one for my job. But then you got your Linux certs, and that'll point back to that Linux Plus certification or Linux Foundation. You don't have to go too far with the systems administration. Well, I mean, it would be good to take like a Red Hat either search or introduction to Red Hat or something like that, course or something as a systems administrator. That way you can understand how the operating system works. But if it's a organization you're looking to get into where it's predominantly Linux, then yeah, you definitely want to get a Red Hat certification. They probably not gonna hire you unless you have a Red Hat certification, because they probably run Red Hat as the main operating system, managing whatever software they have on the network. So yeah,
especially in the Fed space, they real big on Red Hat. If you're
yep,
going government or state, that's kind of the de facto standard.
yep,
Red Hat.
exactly. So just having an understanding of those different operating systems, I don't know if it's a benefit for Mac. I would definitely pick Linux over Mac, because most of the Mac systems you'll run into, like I said, probably be in the marketing department. It'll be like a few of them. At least that's my experience. Now there are organizations that are heavy on Mac where they have a whole bunch of developers and all they use is Mac computers, and you have to manage those. So
We block
it
them.
depends on where you are.
We block them. We block them. we had a real throwdown with a couple executives because they love their Mac. We like, okay, we get hacked, we coming to you, Mac. It's not Mac is a secure operating system, but when you hook it up to a corporate network and you trying to mingle it with the Windows, those guys be struggling. So we just came out where you can't run a Mac in a DoD or government certified network. We just kind of push back on it. And long story short, if you look at the STIG, shut up, okay, he hates the STIG, but even CIS, they kind of push back on that. So yeah. From a management, because it's hard. Because I think somebody had in there. I don't remember us having an MDM that will work on a Mac.
Okay.
For management, putting a container on your phone or on your laptop, then we can delete it from corporate. I don't think we couldn't find one to work with a Mac that was an enterprise level product. So we were struggling with that. So
yeah. And let's see the next point. It says familiarity.
Familiarity.
Words with the F are killing me today,
familiarity.
man.
Keep going. I got you back. Familiarity
with hardware, working with physical devices. And this is something that most people don't, talk about. But yeah, servers, obviously, but printers. You gonna run it? Yeah, everybody probably that has some bad experiences with printers on the network, but yeah, you'll be managing that as a systems administrator. Most of the time, you got a print server that manages all this, through your Windows server out there, Windows Server organization. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. Print servers are super hard to secure, and a lot of your attacks come in on your print server because sometimes they put the print server and they put it on a flat network so everybody in the enterprise can touch it, but if somebody get to your print servers locked down, they can touch every part of your network. So, so you got to make sure it's hard. And shout out to Gabe. He said that's one of his favorite red team offensive attack points is jumping on a print server and then moving laterally inside your network. So yeah, you got to be careful with them print servers.
Yeah, definitely. And back to the certs, that's where A+ comes in. A+ covers all the hardware as well as the software. That's why I just wanted to take you back there, because that covers all of this, at least a base understanding of how all this works. And then also the cloud. I'm glad they threw this in here, so it looks like they have updated this, but these are some of the skills that they're looking for as well. So cloud computing as well. So they want you to have some cloud experience, cloud applications like Office 365. That's rolling under that systems administrator position, the GCP platform, the Google Cloud, and AWS. Will make you stand out. Go ahead.
Just real quick, somebody put that in the chat. I see AWS and Azure on enterprise level, especially inside the government. I don't see a lot of GCP.
Yeah,
I know that they're pushing. I actually interviewed one of their security guys on my channel. Super dope guy, super good. I just don't see a lot of GCP. Once again, I do a lot of federal and state work. GCP, when I see GCP, it's usually in the startup phase or something super artificial intelligence, super nerdy super brain, but from the I call it the nuts and bolts organizations, I do not see GCP a lot. Go
Yeah,
ahead on.
nah, you're right, and that's why. And to be honest, that's why I don't talk about it much on my channel. I bring it up. You
Yeah,
know, it could be something you could look into. You know, but AWS and Azure or Windows is Microsoft. I mean, is going to be one of those areas you want to focus in on. It's kind of like when we was talking about the Windows, Mac, Linux thing above. Windows and Linux is probably your best bet on things you need to learn. Mac, not so much. I know Gabe in the chat right now, punching at the air, you know, because he love his Macs. But yeah, Windows and Linux is most likely those skills you want to, you know, focus on, and not put that, you know, GCP in the same category as the Mac. You know what I'm saying? You'll see it sometimes, but not much. And then you're right, startups. I've ran into them at startups, or seeing people that work for startup companies.
facts.
Yep, yep.
Just,
So, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
just real quick, I see Gabe and Frost in there. Moving's getting everybody hacked, so you got to be careful for you using moving. I think moving got 400 companies hacked. So, Frost, I was like you. We were lucky that how we had our movement set up. We don't believe we got breached, but yeah, I tell people I'm an AWS nerd, so I tell people go to AWS transfer service before I do moving. But shout out to Movie. They got everybody hacked. I will rip it out and switch over to something else. AWS transfer. Go ahead, Josh. I had to just chime in on that. I saw him chatting it up
Nah,
in the
no
box.
problem. I knew that would get Gabe up here. That's why I said, because he want the link.
Oh, he wants the link.
Yeah, I sent it to him though. I sent it
That's
to him.
cool. Shout out to Gabe, man. He got to get on his channel, man. Like I said, we was up till midnight on my channel for a couple hours. I went late, so shout out to
Okay.
him.
Yeah.
Shout out to the baby. She was asleep. So
okay, cool,
chopping it
cool.
up. Nah, go ahead and get going on the re. I'm gonna let you get back, man.
All right. So knowledge and networking, that's something you want to, you know, obviously, you know, look into. That's why I pointed out that Network Plus. It is part of that systems, you know, administration, at least understanding networking. That way you can figure out, you know, issues that pop up on your systems. A lot of times you'll run into network issues. So if you need to understand how it works. So LAN, WAN, so wide area network. So if you got like what do you call those things? A VPN server, you know, running within your organization, you got to understand how to manage that, set that up, you know, all that good stuff. And access to services. So access to internal share drives for remote users. You know, understand how to protect that stuff and set it up properly so you know it can be protected.
Yeah, and the two is a lot of services have hardening. You can do the CIS hardening, so you can kind of figure out, okay, I got this particular service, even if it's an API. There's usually hardening checks or something you can scan to make sure it's at least at a decent level of security, and you're just not wide open and doing something a little crazy. And the basis of security, one of the things is networking. You got to track your packets, where they go, what ports and protocols should be used. You want to, you know, block everything that's not used. You want to create your attack service, make it small as possible. And the basis of that is really understanding networking.
Yep. Now, this last point, it points out here communication, interpersonal skills. This is very important. Don't think you're just gonna be sitting in the server room, not talking to nobody. Yeah, help desk is the first line of defense. They're going to basically segment out the problem. So if it's a problem dealing with a database, they're gonna send it to the database team. If it's a problem with some application, specific application, then they'll send it to that team, maybe. But most of the time, it's gonna go to that systems administrator first. After the help desk, you know, gets to it and prioritize the ticket and move it around, send it to the proper team. It's gonna come. Most of those tickets are gonna come to y'all as a systems administrator. If the help desk can't fix the problem, it's gonna go to those systems administrators, and you're gonna have to be able to communicate and talk to all these everybody within the organization you'll most likely run into and help them fix an issue. So you got to be able to communicate.
And some of the bigger organizations, I worked on a team called an integration team. So if all the teams can't figure it out, it comes to integration. So okay, like then you got to figure out, because sometimes, and Josh knows this, when you run an application, sometimes you can't tell, is the database not up, the app server not up, the web server not up, is the DNS not up, is it getting routed somewhere it should be routed? And all the teams go, it's not us, right? So we created an integration team, and that's the part where you had to integrate. So it was my job to come out and talk to those guys. So a lot of times it's cool because networking can always follow the network traffic. Okay, did it go to the firewall? Can you see it? Or like you said, the system admin can go into the system table and they can see if that packet with that IP made it to the server. Sometimes it's like, dude, it didn't even get to this server. I don't see it in the sys logs, right? But you got to learn how to communicate. And a lot of times, if you get junior system admins, sometimes they don't even know all the logs where to look. So even as a secret, I like, hey man, look at the sys log. Did that traffic coming from this IP address get there? That's how they're like, nah, I didn't make it. So then you got to go to the firewall team. Is the firewall blocking? But like you said, it's all that's communication and working to it. And when you work for a big organization, nobody don't want to work, man. It ain't us, man. It didn't get to the database. Our programming didn't get to the web server, right? But all that's communication. And you and all those labs you doing, all those tech skills, that's when they come in, when you got to troubleshoot. Everybody's cool when shit working great, but when it's not, everybody's pointing fingers, man. So you got somebody got to go figure that out, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Mack in the house. Shout out to Gabe. I appreciate him last night. Hope the baby slept through the night. Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out Gabe. What's up, bro?
Baby, stay
not
up.
too much, not too much, not too much. It's starting to get cold here in the Midwest. I don't know if y'all, well, sure, Professor Black Ops knows. So I'm hooded up at this moment because it's getting cold.
Yeah, it was 55 this morning. I was trying to walk. I'm like, ooh, I'm old and fat. I'm about to bundle up, man. I gotta lose some weight and shit.
Man, I took the baby out and everything, man. I was like, oh man, gotta bundle up. What's up, fellas? I'm just following along. So don't let me interrupt.
You good. Yeah. Anything you want to say so far? Anything I covered?
I was going to speak about some of those skills that are necessary for network administrators or system administrators. Is definitely having an understanding, especially if you're in like a Microsoft Windows environment, then having understanding of PowerShell, WMI, kind of those system administration tools, RDP, being able to understand what those tools are, and a lot of times even their security implications, because a lot of times hackers are looking for your accounts and where you're spreading your credentials around the network, around the systems in order to try to compromise your account. So I think that knowing some of those tools are important. Yeah.
Do you think that's a senior level skill set, knowing those, entry or mid level? I think those are seniors. What's your thought on that? I'm just
like I'm sure Josh mentioned, like a lot of times with network administration, you have a machine that you have higher level privileges on. And that you're going all around the network using RDP, using VNC, using all types of remote management software in order to install patches, update systems, maybe decommission a machine. So I think that's like, I don't know what level that's at with network or system administration, but I do know that that's a really good skill to have.
No, Josh, real quick, Josh. So on the top of that, we a lot of times we automating those bills, right? We ain't even touching those boxes anymore on a lot of times.
Yeah, but you still sometimes is there an automation process in decommissioning those servers or configuring, I don't know, completing the configuration, because a lot of times it gets to the automation is to a certain point. You know what I'm saying? And you still have to get into those positions. You still have to have access to them. So I agree. That's why I was going to chime in on what Gabe said. He's right. Like I was thinking about Linux systems on the network. We were talking about Linux servers. A lot of times you have to have software or understand how to access those Linux servers, like via SSH, PuTTY, applications like that, you need credentials on those servers to manage them and fix issues if you need to. So,
and I'm sure during the pandemic, a lot of those system and network administrators, they were utilizing remote management tools like RDP and
fine.
SSH and maybe even Telnet in some
Oh,
cases.
hell no.
Hopefully
We
not.
fired.
But you
If
know,
I see you use the Telnet, your ass getting escorted out. Go ahead.
it depends on the environment, man. It depends on the environment. There's some very old environments where Telnet is still the primary method of administering systems.
But we went over incident response and we saw what was that 16,000 hours you can spend if you get yourself hacked.
Yeah, it could be difficult. Yeah. That's all I got on that for right now, at least.
Nah, you good. And so this thing kind of covers a couple certifications down here at the bottom for systems administrators. And so I just kind of wanted to point out some of the things. I mean, they've already covered, like I covered the Server Plus, A Plus. So that is one of those certs I think that can help you out. I didn't take A Plus because of my degree. I had an associate's degree that kind of covered everything you would cover in A plus. I think they might have used the A plus curriculum to build out the course that I took to get my associate's degree, because a lot of that was covered in there, at least based on me looking at the training for A plus. And Server Plus, that's something that I learned in my degree as well. So it all depends on the information that you already have going into trying to get these positions. If you've already have an associate's degree and they covered some server stuff, because that was another reason I didn't take Server Plus. They covered how to set up a server and manage the server and like every intricate detail of setting up servers on networks at that time period. I know it's changed, but at that time period, that's why I skipped Server Plus. So it all depends. I don't want people wasting money. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you about Server Plus. Is it more of like, is it vendor agnostic, or are you primarily setting up like Microsoft servers?
Based on the training I've seen, at least at the time, because I looked at some of the training in the past, it was a little bit leaning towards Microsoft because majority of the networks back then were Microsoft networks. So they kind of had no choice, but they touched on other operating systems, of course, like adding them to the servers. As far as like how we was talking about the Mac, how you'll see a Mac on the network every now and then, you know what I'm saying? Then managing that on the Active Directory, or managing those different systems on Active Directory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just real quick, somebody put in there they have racks in their garage. I had physical servers for probably from 2000, 2010. I do all my labbing inside AWS. I just spin up my VM. I spin them up and tear them down. And most of my exercise, even with my most complicated ones where I'm attaching the database, it's usually about $4 a day. So for me, I don't use physical hardware as much. If you're going to be, of course, a network admin or sysadmin, sometimes you got to touch those boxes and go in. But me, from a security, programming, integration standpoint, I just spin up, because most of the times when I'm at work, I'm on VMs anyway. So
man, that AWS like interface is so confusing, man. I spun up some. I mean, it's just not intuitive at all. I'm like, how do I tear down some of these services? How do I bring something up? How do I? It's so difficult.
It takes a while to get used to it. I'm trying to get to where I'm just using a CLI, where I'm just doing everything from their cloud formations, where I'm just using their template to spell up, spin down, where I don't even touch that's where I'm really trying to get to, where I don't even touch the interface as much. So
well, Gabe, a lot of them
mess with a lot of tools, but that mug is confusing.
And that's the thing, Gabe. A lot of them are like that because it's only 3 major ones, but GCP is like that. It's confusing.
GCP.
Yes,
I ain't even looked at GCP.
Yeah, it's confusing because I use that for like all my stuff dealing with this channel. Like I have servers set up in GCP that push out my websites and all that stuff. So it is confusing. You know what I'm saying? If it's almost like they want you to take those entry-level courses to understand how to fully use their
I might be pushed. I might be getting pushed in that direction. I might have to go ahead and go get a couple of AWS joints.
That's why I'm trying. I ain't did it in a couple months, so I got to get back on there. I did a little bit today. I've been on that CISP and it's just wearing me out, man.
Now, one last thing I want to like kind of point out. I don't know anything about this Google IT support professional certification, so not sure if you want to take this or not. I just wanted to throw it out there because it's in the article, but it says it prepares you for the A+ exam. But you can go, I don't know, watch videos on YouTube, Professor Mesa or whoever, and pass the A+ exam. So, not sure if this is worth it. You know what I'm saying? But hey,
yeah, I've
check
been
it out
seeing
if you
Google
want
make a
to.
large. I was about to say I've been seeing Google making a large push into the certification realm
Oh, they
and
are.
really trying to push it.
They were
Through
giving out free
Coursera.
stuff. Yeah, they were
Coursera
giving
is a
out
big
free
one.
stuff too. Yeah, they were giving out a ton
Yeah.
free. Because I saw they were gonna try to train 44 million people for free.
Something like that.
I was like, shit, that's the whole black population.
Yeah.
We all go GCP, but no, so
Yeah, I'm not
it was
sure
a
if they
crazy
reached out to
amount.
you yet, KeepItTechie, but they reached out to me like Corsair to do a couple of video integrations. But yeah, man, like
Okay.
but I don't know too much about the search. So they give like an account, they let you go into there and be able to evaluate so I got some research to do on that. And PBO, get that email out on your account so that they can reach out to you, man.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them reach out to you just via email to try to see if you can do some video integrations.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely will.
Yeah.
Professor Black Ops. Yeah, definitely do that because organizations they hit you up, bro. Especially when people from their organization are watching your videos and they understand they know
Yeah.
you putting out some good stuff,
Yeah.
they'll definitely reach out to you.
Yeah, that AWS was paying people to do videos for a while, but you got
Still
to
do.
have. Yeah, but when they reached out to me, they said my subs count was a little low. They wanted me to be like 20K or something. And I had to have 4 years of, I guess, putting out videos. I didn't have enough when I.
Oh, they reach out to you then, like if they didn't want to work. That
Yeah, it
sounds
was
weird.
weird. What? Well, you know how it is. They have recruiters that reach out to you. Then once you talk to AWS, they're like, "Oh, you were close." I'm like, dude, you need better recruit people. So,
oh, you talking about for a role?
Yeah, they had a role where it was actually
Okay.
it was a mix of. I think that's what your boy doing, Lightfoot.
Yeah, or that position that I applied for because I went and did one of the not did it, but you know what I'm saying. I interviewed for a role like that. I think it's called a
evangelist, right?
No, they didn't call it evangelist, but that's what it was. That's what I took it as. I think that's what KeepItTechie was talking about. The one for some reason, one of them reached out to me. I'm like, dude, I ain't got enough. I ain't got enough years.
Yeah, I forget what they call it, but it's a developer advocate. That's what it is.
There it
advocate.
is. There
Yep.
That's the role. Okay.
Yeah, and then one last thing. Let me cover this one last thing. So look into those Windows Server Administration fundamental certifications. That'll get you good. And like I said, KeepItTech covers a lot of this stuff over there, setting up those environments. That's why I've been bringing them up throughout this whole video. He covers Active Directory, account management, system recovery tools, networking, Windows Server in general. He covers that can help you get into those help desk roles that can eventually land you into those systems administration roles. So definitely look at, and then it also recommends Red Hat, which we already talked about as well. So take those Red Hat certifications if you want to go that route.
And KeepItTechie, I was also going to say about the free code camp. I know you have a class on there, but like they also have system administration classes on there as well if you're trying to study on a budget, for sure.
Yep, definitely. I agree.
Just real quick, what's your take on that, Gabe? I think system admins rolling up on the cloud engineer in different positions. I just don't see raw system admins as much as I used to. So you think that's, I ain't gonna say going away, it's just getting incorporated in the cloud a little differently?
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I've been super entrenched in cybersecurity, so a lot of those cloud specific roles or system administration roles, I don't really have a very good purview into. So I'm gonna leave that to you guys who have more information about that because I don't know.
I guess since I'm more blue team and I got to interview those guys because when you're going through security checks, I got to talk to cloud. How are you hardening? How are you doing encryption? Are you using encryption keys Are you creating your own or using Azure's or AWS encryption keys? So I have to talk to those guys when I interview them. And the application guys. So that's kind of where I kind of dip my toe in there. I'm telling people I'm too old to be talking about people because they push back. That's too much security. You making a timeline slip. Okay, we're gonna be MGM in a minute, player. That's on you.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, keep taking, throwing it back to you.
No, you good. So that's pretty much all I had. I don't like making like super long live streams.
Keep it
You know what I'm
it's up to
saying?
you. Keep it tech, it's up to you. I ain't trying to give it. It's about 40 questions in the box, man.
Oh, hold on.
It's your call, though.
Yeah, you're right.
If you want to end it, I'm cool. I've been picking a few out there.
Yeah, let me.
I don't want to take up your show, man.
Nah, you good. You good. Hey, if you see something, and because it's kind of hard to keep up with it.
Oh, yeah. I know. I remember I tell people ease up on you, man, because when you doing it by yourself, you got the box and the trying to keep people.
I think I'm gonna just have to take Gabe advice and just use StreamYards or one of them other. That way I can highlight messages and all that stuff
I'm
pin messages.
Yeah, I'm restreaming it. So I'm trying. I upgraded to restream, so you can do that on restream to make it a little easier.
Yeah, I keep wanting to be like a, I don't know, like
you're a rebel, man.
Yeah, rebel.
You're a rebel.
You know what I'm saying?
Security people don't like you, KeepItTechie. I don't like rebels, man.
You figure out what you like, man. Like,
Gabe, I need you using a corporate image, man. You know, that's what we tell people, man. We need you using corporate image.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and well, let me holler at Femi's
about 4 questions in there.
Yeah, statement. Well, one of them I wanted to touch on. She was responding to Quasi, but she said, I always tell people you cannot make excuses for having no time, and that's true. If you got time for watching TV 24/7 or YouTube 24/7, then surely you can make time for this. So yeah, that was a great statement to kind of end out the show. Let me see if she had any questions though.
We got to talk about women, man, like the manosphere, right? Don't we need to just talk about women out there?
No, they got plenty of streams on that.
Yeah.
You know?
We overstreamed on that, man. We're gonna talk about Deion Sanders, man. I'm just joking.
Oh yeah, Deion. Yeah,
talk about Deion. But go ahead.
Nah, I turned that game off early. I was like, yeah, I'm about to watch a slaughter. Why I do that?
Deion, man. I was telling people, Deion, cybersecurity, man. Sometimes you're gonna get the bear, and sometimes the bear gonna get you. And like we all say this, you ain't gonna make 100,000 with a 3-month certification. Deion, this is first year, so. You ain't gonna do it all in 1 year either, man. So go ahead, KeepItTechie.
But Quasi also said, I'm in the help desk now. That's great, man. Glad to see you in there. And he says, patiently waiting to get my security plus and see if I can pivot into security. Yeah, definitely look into that, bro. Look into that. Don't stop learning. And I think that's what Femi was saying. I was gonna call you FEMA, like,
but two in there too is security is a big domain. Figure out which part you want to do in there. I'm shout out to Gabe. He red team, penetrate everything. I'm blue team. Then you got security engineering. Their security is a big domain, so kind of figure out where you want to kind of focus on, where you want to move. It's open to you, but if you're trying to move to it, you need to kind of pick an area where you want to specialize and kind of go with that area. I'll let y'all chime in. That's my 2 cents on it. But when you say security, man, you act like this one thing. It's a big piece. It's security. Once again, I do GRC now, governance, risk, and compliance. I do NIST, most federal, but it's a big domain. It's a huge domain.
For sure. So that's pretty much all I got, bro. I don't even know where to.
It was a lot. What else I wanted to cover?
Yeah.
I was pulling a few out.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go on and close it down, bro. Like any last words or anything else y'all want to put out or whatever before I go down and shut it down.
No, I just wanted to say that system administration, it's like one of those very foundational skills to almost any of these cyber or any of these tech type of careers, right? You understanding how systems work, how they talk, especially like when you talk about Windows and system administration. That's like the primary. Those are like Active Directory is primarily ran for most enterprise organizations across the world, really. So having those system administration, network administration skills are extremely. I say system administration plus networking equals a very good foundation in any area within, whether you're going DevOps, whether you're going cybersecurity, whether you're going database administration, whether you're going application development. Like having those skills will really give you a leg up. So yeah, man.
Nah,
it's like having
true.
like a layup or like a backboard shot like Tim Duncan or something. Like the fundamentals will really get you, they really get you really far. And you can add whatever other flavor you want on top of that. So
yeah, and
that's all I
I'm
got.
glad you said that. No, I'm glad you said that, bro, because that was the whole purpose of this stream, was to, you know, point out that this position specifically, you know, will take you wherever you want to go within this field. I mean, if you, because that's kind of what happened with me. You know, you never know where you're gonna end up, and that's why I keep saying that you never know where you're gonna end up. But I started as systems admin, and it took me in a totally different direction. It's a foundation for everything. So I agree with you there, man. I appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah,
And Professor
Yeah, man,
Blackhouse,
thanks
go
for having
ahead.
me. I'll go ahead
Yeah,
and
no
drop down.
problem, Gabe. No
just
problem.
real
Thank
quick,
you, bro.
Peace out, though.
What Gabe said, that's a foundational skill. I start off in Linux, and part of the Linux admin is user group and user group and everyone as far as, you know, your access. And that's part of what system admins do. And from a cybersecurity perspective, that's one of the first things you check to make sure it's locked down and how people are accessing the system. So once again, that's a foundational skill and something everybody needs to understand, like everybody, DevOps, SysOps, cloud engineer. That's a base fundamental, even if it's Windows, Linux, or both. So
yeah, I agree, man. Thank you, Professor Blackhouse, for coming through again, man. I appreciate it. Dropping them jewels on here as well. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. And shout out to Network Bro. I see you in the building. And
gonna put out some videos, man. We ain't seen it, man. Put out
I
some
know,
videos,
right?
man. Peace out there, man. Everybody have a great Sunday. Check out.
All right, PBO. Take care. Yep. All right, guys. I appreciate you coming out, hanging out with me on this Sunday. I appreciate it. Hopefully this helps someone. I did a lot of mentor sessions this week with multiple people. If you want to sign up for a mentor session, you know, I kind of cover positions depending on what direction you want to go, and I try to help people make the decision on what they need to get in order to get to the roles that they're pursuing. So definitely, you know, check that out. It's on my channel. I dropped it on my my community tab. Just go down and hit that and schedule a mentor session. I think I'm booked up this week. I got a couple this week, probably open, 1 or 2 open, but yeah, I just want to see people be successful in this field. It's been awesome helping the people that I have helped, you know what I'm saying, and you know who you are. I think one of them shot themselves out in the beginning. Edmund, what's up, bro? Yeah, I want you guys to be successful, so just hit me up if you need me to, I don't know, guide you or try to help you make decisions on what direction you need to go in order to be successful in the field. But hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Check out some more football, you know what I'm saying? I know that's what I'm finna do, but hope you guys have a wonderful day, and of course, keep it tight.